Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senate President Pro Tem.
Okay, I have the pleasure of introducing the Reverend who will provide our invocation today. His name is Reverend Isaac Vineyard. He's with the College Creek Church in Annapolis, Maryland, and he is the guest of the senator from District 30. We'll like to ask the members to please rise for the invocation.
Would you pray with me? Our good, gracious, and holy God, we come to you this morning pausing to give you praise for the life that you have given us and for the opportunity that you have given us to serve and lead in our community. We do not take lightly the responsibility of leadership. Truly, Lord, we know that it is more than we can handle, so we submit ourselves to your leadership. And Lord, I pray specifically for these senators here. Would you grant them the wisdom to lead well? Give them the humility to listen to one another, to their constituents, and most of all to you. And give them the courage to do what is right and good, regardless of how it might be perceived. And Lord, I pray that you would protect them from harm or illness, preserve their families, especially in this season of particular busyness. Help them to find time to be with those who are dearest to them and give them strength to persevere. And Lord, as we think about our own safety, we're drawn to remember the people of Ukraine. We ask, Lord, for your care and provision for those who are under attack. Lord, we believe that you are a God of peace. And so we ask that you might bring peace to that land once again. We pray for the safety of civilians, both in Russia and Ukraine, for the protection of all those who are fighting for justice. Lord, bring the evil of war to an end and bring the peace that marks your kingdom, not just in Ukraine, but in all corners of our world. And Lord, as these senators go about their work now, may you bless them and keep them. Make your face to shine upon them and be gracious to them. Lord, lift up the light of your countenance upon them and give them peace, both now and forever. Amen.
Wow, thank you so much for their very thoughtful and earnest prayer. And colleagues, I forgot to mention, we'll be looking for our Senate President to be joining us very shortly. The chair recognizes the senator from the capital city, the lady from District 30.
Thank you very much, Madam Senate President Pro Tem. Colleagues, I want to just highlight and lift up the good Reverend Isaac Vineyard, who is pastoring right here in Annapolis, and his guest on the floor, Tiana Parker, is with us as well. Both the Reverend and Tiana work just across the hall with my colleague, one of my delegates. But colleagues, Pastor Reverend Isaac is the pastor of College Creek Church right here in Annapolis, and that church opened its doors just August of this past year. Prior to planning the church, he worked in college ministry, starting by leading a ministry of students at Anne Arundel Community College. He originally moved to Annapolis to teach theology and history at Annapolis Area Christian School. He studied Bible and history at Dallas Baptist University and received his seminary training at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. He believes his calling is to see the kingdom of God come on earth as it is in heaven. In pursuit of this calling, he will find him not just preaching on Sundays, but also tutoring students at the Stanton Center just down the street, training educators on the other side of the world, handing out food to those in need, or drilling wells and building churches in Uganda, all because of his desire to bless people and bring glory to God. And Madam President Pro Tem, I move that we journalize the Good Reverend's prayer.
Without objection, colleague, we'll certainly journalize that prayer. Thank you very much. Now, has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 42 members present and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. We're going to move to introductions. Let's first take any guest introductions. Chair recognizes the senator from District 27.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. Colleagues, I'm pleased to introduce one of my interns, Ms. Kayla DeSiver. She's up in the gallery. If you would stand up, Kayla. Kayla's originally from New York. She's a junior at the University of Maryland College Park in the School of Public Policy. She began this session interning virtually, as we all had to do this year. But it's great that she's here in person. And look, let's give her a rounding welcome, and hopefully when she finishes her undergrad, she'll continue on her education and her professional life here in the state of Maryland. Give her a great welcome.
Excellent. All right, the chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, could you give a warm welcome in the gallery? Today is Moms Demand Action. Moms Demand Action, can you stand up and give them a warm welcome?
Okay, the chair recognizes the senator from the shore. Is that the protocol, co-chair?
Yes, it is. I'm going to introduce the pages. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have 3 pages with us in person. Tinette Kidd from Charles County, District 28, Henry E. Lackey High School. Simran Kalia, Howard County, District 13, Oakland Mills High School. And Frederick Jorgensen from Howard County, District 9B, Centennial High School. Please give them a warm welcome. And we thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. We know this will be a very exciting day for you. Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem.
Thank you, and we certainly look forward to seeing our pages out and about on the floor during today's session. Are there any additional guest announcements? Okay, we're going to move to, we have a resolution. The chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Thank you. I just would like to start by saying this is not the first time I have read this resolution, but it's been going on for quite a few years. But we all know about it now if you watch TV. And I will leave it at that, and you can all say, I think I've seen that commercial. In an effort to raise awareness to tardive dyskinesia, also known as TD, before us today is a Senate resolution declaring the week of May 1st through the 8th, 2022 as Tardive Dyskinesia Awareness Week in Maryland. Tardive dyskinesia, also known as TD, is a movement disorder characterized by uncontrollable, abnormal, repetitive movements of the torso, extremities, and/or face. It is often seen in the lips, jaw, tongue, and eyes. It can also affect other parts of the body, including the upper body, arms, hands, legs, and feet. The condition is associated with taking certain kind of medications, such as antipsychotics, that help control dopamine in the brain. These medications are commonly prescribed to treat schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and major depression. Other medication used to treat upset stomach, nausea, and vomiting may also cause TD. Additionally, common risk factors for tardive dyskinesia include advanced age and alcoholism or other substance abuse disorders. It is estimated that over 600,000 Americans suffer from tardive dyskinesia. The National Alliance for Mental Illness reports 1 in every 4 patients receiving long-term treatment with an antipsychotic medication will experience tardive dyskinesia. Patients who are working hard to treat their mental illness are sometimes also diagnosed with TD. Their irrepressible movements of TD may physically be painful and often disruptive to their daily lives and the emotional well-being. I speak today in support of these patients and with hopes that Awareness Week will shed light on Marylanders who are suffering from tardive dyskinesia. And if you'll, we didn't get our names, and I want you all to get your names. So, okay. Go ahead. Sarah, and tell them where you're from.
Sarah Weisman from Anne Arundel County, representing NAMI, Maryland. Good morning, Carla Kiriaco with Neurocrine Biosciences.
Chuck Harmon, Neurocrine Biosciences.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll ask the clerk to read the resolution.
Be it hereby known to all that the Senate of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the National Alliance on Mental Illness in recognition of your efforts to raise awareness about TD, also known as tardive dyskinesia, the week of May 1 through 8, 2022. It is estimated that more than 600,000 Americans suffer from TD. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 16th day of March 2022.
Thank you. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam President Pro Tem,
All right, the clerk will take the call. The Senate of Maryland unanimously acknowledges and recognizes Tardive Dyskinesia Week, and we acknowledge the work of all of those who volunteer and work on this important issue. Thank you so very much. And colleagues, you may notice that one of the folks in front of us is Sarah, who's the wife of our former Chief of Staff, Sarah Weissman. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move to the introduction of bills and committee assignments if there are no further guest announcements. Oh, the chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I would love to introduce the doctor of the day today, Dr. Jack Gordon, a familiar face and wonderful constituent of District 11.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon. I think I may have been to see you, so thank you, Senator. All right, any further guest announcements? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to the, we're going to move so much be considered the reading of the journal from the previous day. And the first order of business is the introduction of House bills. We have calendar number 12. The clerk will read the calendar.
House Bill 205, Delegate Bartlett, Clerk of the Circuit Courts, Bonds, Licenses, Oaths, and Commissions, JPR. House Bill 441, Delegate Clippinger, Baltimore City, Pretrial Release of Defendant, Notice, JPR.
All right, the majority leader moves so much be considered the reading of the bills. We're going to move to calendar number 30. That is a EHE calendar. Okay, the clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 437, Senator McCray, Agriculture, University of Maryland Extension, Urban Farmer Assistance, favorable with one amendment.
All right, the chair recognizes the senator from Howard County, the floor leader on the bill.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem. Colleagues, this bill, Senate Bill 437, requires the University of Maryland Extension to hire one extension agent dedicated to urban farm production methods and crop management, and another extension agent dedicated to urban farm and agribusiness management. Each extension agent must perform applied research and provide education to urban farmers as specified, beginning in fiscal year 2024. The governor must include an appropriation of $300,000 in the annual budget for the extension agents hired under their bills. There is one committee amendment which adds co-sponsors. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report and the amendments.
Okay, the floor leader moves the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable report on the bill. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the committee report and the amendments indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendments and the committee report are adopted on Senate Bill 437. Okay, we'll move to the next bill. Are there any further amendments to the bill or to its title? Okay, seeing none, Senate Bill 437 is ordered printed for third reader. The clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 492, Senator Pinsky, Environment, Discharge Permits, Inspection and Administrative Continuations, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the EHE Committee on the bill.
Thank you, Madam President Pro Tem and Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past few months, maybe even longer, the discharge permits from facilities dumping into our state streams, rivers, and bay has come under pretty significant scrutiny. Yesterday, actually, on the front page of the Baltimore Sun, there was an article about the lack of enforcement and any kind of oversight of the violations. Senate Bill 492 attempts to address that issue. It establishes inspection requirements for the Department of the Environment with respect to permit holders and continued water discharge permits, particularly of those that are in significant non-compliance. That means where they're discharging and the chemicals in there and the bacteria are above the limit set by the EPA. It also sets administrative penalty provisions for the permittees operating in violation. You know, it's been a question whether it's just competence or it's short of staff. So the bill also calls for the department to assess a number of additional employees they might need to clear the backlog and report those findings to the legislature. There are a number of amendments, Mr. President. First one is technical. The second one strikes language that would have prohibited the department from administratively continuing discharge permits, which have become known as zombie permits because they're out there, they're like the living dead. But we remove the very strict language that says you may not have some, but we give them time to reduce the backlog. The secretary said that they would reduce this backlog by 90% by December 31st. We hope they follow through on that. It also, Amendment 3 alters reporting requirements and moves up certain reporting dates, and that's what the bill does. I think it passed unanimously from the committee. So, Mr. President, I would move adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 3 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 492 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 497, Senator Gallion, deer management permit, hunting on state land leased by permit holder, authorization favorable.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill authorizes a person hunting under a deer management permit on state land leased by a permittee for the cultivation of crops to use a shotgun or breech loading center rifle approved by the Department of Natural Resources to hunt deer throughout the year, including all deer hunting seasons in the locations and under conditions set forth in the permit. There were no committee amendments. This was unanimously voted out of the committee. I'd ask for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 497 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 538, Senator Carrozza, land use, agritourism definition favorable.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 538 establishes that the model definition of agritourism under the land use article includes special events and occasions conducted on a farm that generates income from an agricultural activity. So local jurisdictions may, but are not required, to adopt this definition in local law. There are no committee amendments, no fiscal impact, and I move Senate Bill 538 for a favorable report.
Floor leader moves the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 538 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 665, Senator Quarterman, Natural Resources, Healing, Hunting, and Fishing Fund, no cost licenses and stamps favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill establishes that recreational hunting or fishing opportunities that are provided using a grant awarded from the Healing, Hunting, and Fishing Fund may include providing at no cost, 1, an angler's license and trout stamps, 2, a Chesapeake Bay and coastal sport fishing license, or 3, a hunting license and any corresponding stamps. There are no committee amendments, and it was passed out of committee unanimously. I'd like to move for adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 665 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 818, Senator Ellis, Environment, Permit Applications, Environmental Justice Screening, favorable with 2 amendments.
All right. Environmental screening. Environmental justice screening. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 818 establishes the environmental justice screening requirements for permits issued by MDE. As amended, the bill will require a person who is applying for a permit issued to use the census tract where the applicant is seeking a permit. The bill also modifies public notice provisions applicable to certain permits and requires that there be EJ scores and analysis prepared under the bill. There are 2 committee amendments. The first one is technical. The second one alters the terminology and requires that Maryland MDE to review the analysis of the census tract where the applicant is seeking a permit to verify the application's information and to provide a description of the environmental justice indicators that are being used. I asked for the bill passed almost unanimously, and I asked for the adoption of the favorable committee report and the amendments.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 818 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Before we go to the next one, just want to say thank you to the President Pro Tem. Apologies to the body for being late. She did, I hear, a wonderful job launching us out today. The joys of this time of year, sometimes life hits you square in the face. Sadly, that was my dad in the middle of the night who took a banister right to the face and had to go and get stitches. So thank you to the good people at Montgomery General who stitched him up, and he'll be fine, but the joys of, tripping over a suitcase in the middle of the night, So appreciate the body's indulgence. These things happen. All right, let's, if we could go to the Education, Health, Environmental Fair Calendar 31. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 438, Senator McCray, Young Readers Programs Establishment, Young Readers Program Expansion Act, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a series of bills that we've been getting to encourage young folks to read books. As a matter of fact, one of the most famous nonprofit who does this is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, where monthly children receive books in the mail for free. This bill, 438, establishes the Baltimore City Young Readers Program in the Governor's Office of GOCPYVS. It is the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services. The purpose of the program is to work with a nonprofit early reader organization to mail free, high-quality books to the children of Baltimore City. But the bill doesn't stop there. It allows a grant to be established to support the establishment and operation of an affiliate service for any other county which applies for this program. The bill allows $200,000 for the City of Baltimore and $250,000 for the matching grant program for the rest of the state. Mr. President, there's 2 amendments. One makes technical changes to the bill's title. The second strikes specific reference to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library because there are many other nonprofits that do this type of work, and we didn't want to have a sole source. If they're chosen, fine, but there are many other very highly qualified early reading organizations out there. It also decreased the amount of the annual apportionment to the Young Readers Matching Grant Program. It came in at $500,000, got reduced to $250,000. Mr. President, I move the adoption of the 2 amendments in the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 438 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 501, Senator Elfreth, Maryland Higher Education Commission, procedures, alterations, favorable.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 501 deals with the Maryland Higher Education Commission. It simply codifies transparency practice that we've been doing in every department and agency by requiring live streaming and the posting of information afterwards. It also addresses our late chairman, the Howard P. Rawlings Scholarship Fund, and just says that applicants need to be notified whether or not they earned a scholarship. There were no amendments. It passed unanimously. Move the favorable report on the bill.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 501 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 606, Senator West, Baltimore County Alcoholic Beverages Licenses, transfer, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill authorizes Baltimore County Board of License Commissioners to approve the transfer up to 5 Class B and Class D licenses from Election District 15 as specified. The bill prohibits the board from transferring more than 2 licenses in any single district. There were 2 amendments. The first is technical. The second authorizes the board to approve a transfer of Class B and D. It also says that they have to notify the County Department of Workforce and Economic Development and require certain information in the application. I move the amendment and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 606 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 705, Senator Zucker, Education, Physical Restraint and Seclusion, Limitations, Reporting and Training, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Baltimore City as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Physical restraint and seclusion is a practice used in schools around certain behaviors. The committee, and what this bill does, it prohibits the use of seclusion in public schools and limits its use in non-public schools. It strictly limits and defines restraint. It requires that we collect more data on the use of restraint and seclusion in both public and non-public schools, and that we analyze that data. It also requires that MSDE ensures that there's strong regulations that are in place and are implemented, and also it ensures that we provide better training of school staff to avoid the use of restraint and seclusion when possible. There are 2 committee amendments. The first is technical. The second strikes the definition of physical restraint and substitutes the definition that is currently used in department regulations. It exempts juvenile services from the provisional of prohibiting public agencies from using seclusion. Again, as the bill came in, it restricted it, but working with all the partners and the stakeholders, we came to this compromise. It also requires that there be reporting when there are an excessive number of incidents, and then also the amendment number 2 corrects the drafting. And again, it requires that that we do a report to MSDE if this happens more than 10 times in a school year for a particular student. The bill passed unanimously. I ask for the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, Chair recognizes the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if the floor leader would yield for a question.
Appears so. Senator may proceed.
Thank you very much. I totally support the aim of the bill, and I'm looking through it. Just have a couple of questions. Seclusion means you're literally secluding the child by themselves in some sort of locked setup, correct? It doesn't mean if a child is by themselves and a teacher is sitting or an aide is sitting anywhere
No, this
in
is
proximity.
right. We've just got a number of reports of it being done in a way that I don't think,
No,
any of us would have.
I've definitely
But
heard.
it doesn't require a separation from, the students in the room or something like that. So you're able to remove someone from a situation, but this is a very specific practice.
Right. The other question I have is the bill, and I was reading through it, is the bill written in such a way that if someone's care plan or their 504 plan has that one of the solutions for maybe an outburst or a problem is for them to be set apart, it's not going to mess with any of that, correct? It's going to allow that to continue. There's no interference with any of that.
No, and that's part of the negotiation where the bill was amended to allow it in certain circumstances.
Right, because I saw in here that there are certain times where restraint, which obviously I think we all agree we don't want restraints being used almost ever, but restraints can be used if there's some sort of emergency or I see it to protect people's safety, and if other things have been tried and failed, correct? So
That is correct.
It's a very balanced bill. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, Chair recognizes the Senator from the 34th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the floor leader would yield for a question.
Sure.
Appears so.
Thank
Senator
you.
may proceed.
So I'm looking at the bill, the reprint here, and if I'm looking at the current version, it says that you can't use physical restraint unless physical restraint is necessary to protect a student or another individual from imminent serious physical harm. So imminent serious physical harm. So if the offender is just simply going to smack other kids in the face, shove them down, pull their hair, that would not classify as imminent serious physical harm, would it?
The senator used the term offender. We don't have any offender in our classrooms. We have students.
I don't think I
do you
use
wanna
that term.
rephrase
I'm just
your
reading the
question?
statute. So I don't think I use the word. Did I use the word offender?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so the child, if this beautiful child is simply running around the room, smacking other children in the face, pulling their hair and pushing them down, that would not amount to serious physical harm, would it?
Is that a real question?
That's my question. I'm trying to understand, because imminent serious physical harm, I'm just trying to understand what that's supposed to
I would
mean.
think that once a person touches another person, that is imminent. So that is a harm. If you're smacking someone, that is a harm.
Is that serious physical harm?
I would, yes.
I mean, children go on the playground all the time and push each other and shove each other, and we sort of consider it games. But if you're in the classroom and you're getting unwanted without a game taking place, are we still going to consider that serious physical harm?
Again, we're not talking about a traditional classroom. This is a behavioral health intervention that's used in a particular context.
I understand. It says in the classroom that the school cannot restrain a child unless there's imminent serious physical harm. Okay, thank you. I just speak on the amendment.
Mr. President? On the amendment,
yes.
the Senator has the floor on the amendment.
Yes. Colleagues, look, imminent serious physical harm. We deal with this all the time, these definitions in JPR. What's imminent? That means it's going to happen now, and it's serious. It doesn't mean I push your coworker, I shove them, I touch them. That's not serious. We're talking serious. When I look at serious, he's biting people, drawing blood. He's trying to gouge their eyes out. Simply pushing other children down, smacking them in the head wouldn't. And the idea that we're going to restrain schools from restraining individuals who are in the classroom with my grandchildren and your grandchildren and your children, and that when someone's running around the classroom doing that and the teacher can't restrain them, I find utterly intolerable and outrageous. It seems to me that if Johnny will not stop touching the other child next to them, it's appropriate for the teacher to come in and restrain Johnny. Now, if it's a simple tap on the anything more than a tap on the shoulder, but once you start shoving and kicking and pushing and slapping other children, I certainly wouldn't suggest it comes to imminent serious physical harm. But darn it, it better stop. It better stop. And if Johnny won't stop it, and Johnny won't leave the room, well, I fully expect that teacher in that room who's acting in local parentis to stand up and put Johnny in a hug or whatever he's got to do or she's got to do and take him out of there. Our children don't go to school to learn survival skills. They go to school to learn to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes Senator from the 14th District on the amendments.
Thank you very much, and certainly appreciate the conversation today. You know, what we're trying to do is, and we've seen it in some of the Frederick County public schools, and I know that's why we've teamed up with one of the senators from Frederick County, is, you know, obviously when it comes to another child endangering, whether it seems very serious or if there's an attempt, then there's an opportunity to do restraint. What we're trying to do is move Maryland to the forefront, where other states have already done, to limit the use of that. So if an educator sees that there's going to be a threat, if you know, you can create a child's name, whether it's a female or male, bottom line is that if there's a threat, then there'll be an opportunity to restrain. I mean, there's been instances that I've seen where you know, a child is starting to elope, and they're about to go into an intersection, and a public school employee needs to restrain the child from their own being injured. So this is, I appreciate the senator's point of view, but this is to protect the child. But if there's an incident in the classroom, then it's totally appropriate for an employee to help protect the welfare of the children. So I don't see any issues with these amendments.
All right, on the amendment, we'll hear from the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, there are a number of steps that teachers are able to take to ensure the safety of other students. We've discussed that. There are a number of things that can be done. Imminent harm in an educational context is not just potential harm to a student. As the senator from 14 suggests, there's also imminent harm to themselves. That they could be in a situation where they could be moving towards suicide, they could be self-injurious. And also, as reading here, again, the definition and the use of imminent harm is a little more flexible than it is in code. So it would in fact include some of the behaviors that the senator described. So again, I ask for the adoption of the committee amendment. It passed out of our committee unanimously. This is an important step to ensuring the safety of all students, and that we're providing learning environments for all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right, are there any senators who have not yet spoken who wish to speak? If not, the chair recognizes, oh, apologies. Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Thank you. I just have a question for the floor leader.
Will the floor leader yield? Appears so. Senator may proceed.
Sure. Yes.
Does this bill refer to special classrooms?
It can happen anywhere. Seclusion happens anywhere. It happens disproportionately in our non-public institutions that provide services for our special need, but it could happen anywhere.
Because nonverbal children cannot tell you if someone hurts them.
Yes, yes.
But if we had cameras in those classrooms, that would really work well.
That's another bill, yes.
Yeah, that's another bill, but
I
it's the same
understand,
thing. We don't know exactly what's going on in those classrooms if the door is shut.
That is correct. That's
Right.
why we want to be
And
very careful.
if a child gets really out of control and hurts someone, we don't even know how that child got hurt. So that's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
All right. Any further senators who have not yet spoken? If not, chair recognizes the senator from the 34th district.
Thanks, Mr. President. It seems like the explanations were very reassuring. The only problem is they all deleted the words imminent and serious. So I just asked the bill the amendments lie over under the rule, and I will submit an amendment to make the language comport to the explanations. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. The senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lay over under the rule. Next order of business, we have calendar 50. Are we ready with JPR? Okay. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 387, the President. Public Safety, Untraceable Firearms. Bill is on third reading for final passage.
All right. The bill is on third reader, but chair recognizes the chair of judicial proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to move the bill back to second reader for purposes of an amendment.
All right. Oh, let's get us a moment. As we're looking, the chair will have moved to reconsider the vote by which the bill moved to third reading. Got it? Okay. Do we have any objections to the senator's motions for the purpose of an amendment? If not, all in favor say aye, opposed nay. The motion carries. Senate Bill 387 is now again on second reader and open to amendment. Senator has an amendment. Pages will please collect the senator's amendment. This is their first one of the day, so we'll get the practice. And if senators aren't paying attention, feel free to just drop it on their desks. Don't, no need to be polite with it. Thank you. All right, Senator may explain the amendment.
All right, Mr. President, so there are 5 parts to this amendment. 3 are substantive, 2 are technical and cleanup. The first part, Roman 2, essentially just says that if you inherit a firearm that's unserialized, you'll have 30 days to get it serialized at the MSP with the Maryland State Police. The second part says, look, if you are engaged in creating these firearms without the use of any prefabricated parts, you have 30 days upon the time that you complete the unfinished receiver, which is definitionally going to be considered to be a firearm under the ATF, the forthcoming ATF regs and in the bill. And then the third part of the substance is that it says nothing shall be construed in a manner that abridges your Fifth Amendment rights. I'd move adoption of the amendments.
All right, the senator moved the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 387 is ordered printed for third reader. All right, we've got a special order calendar number 49. This is, let's see, do we have that one? Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 5, Senator Patterson, General Provisions, Commemorative Days, Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration Day. Questions on the adoption of the amendment and the favorable report.
All right, question is on the amendment. I think there was another amendment. Do we want to adopt those? Okay. On the committee amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it, the one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye, opposed nay. The ayes have it, the favorable report as amended is adopted. Chair recognizes the senator from the 23rd District has an amendment.
Thank you, Mr.
Pages will
President.
collect the senator's amendment. Pages? You're going to get lots of work out today. It should be a simple one. Let's just, once we get it on the board, we'll.
Yeah.
Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Simple amendment simply adds co-sponsors. I move the amendment.
Excellent. Senator moved the amendment. Assume the sponsor of the bill and floor leader is okay with the amendment? Want to contest it to the death?
No, not at all, Mr. President. We're delighted that the good senator wanted to be a sponsor of this legislation. Thank
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Any objections to the senator's amendment? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 5 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Let's go to, we have a layover calendar here. Actually, are we ready for the budget? Why don't we do the budget? If there are no objections, let's go ahead and move to the budget, get it moving. All right, so this would be Budget and Taxation Report number 16. We're going to ask we'll have the clerk read the bill, and then we're going to have the chair of the committee present from the clerk's desk to give us the report on the bill.
Senate Bill 290, the President, Budget Bill, Fiscal Year 2023, favorable with 112 amendments.
All right, 112. I want a detailed explanation on each one. So, Chair recognizes the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't remember all of those. I don't know. We'll have to go back and look at all that. Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee has completed a review of the state operating budget for fiscal 2023. Today we report our version of Senate Bill 290, the budget bill. Before I describe the budget, I'd like to first thank all the members of the committee and our amazing committee staff and the amazing folks, the budget folks at DLS. Our work really couldn't have been done without them. Maryland, as we all know, has maneuvered through this recovery phase of the global COVID-19 pandemic better than anticipated, with the economy repeatedly outperforming expectations. We currently find ourselves with a significant cash and structural surplus, but it is important to note that the recovery has not been equal for everyone. The challenge this year has been determining how best to utilize our resources to continue to support those in need, invest in the future, and I think ultimately position the state to remain fiscally sound. Each session, our committee takes actions to ensure that we have a balanced budget and meets the recommendations of the Spending Affordability Committee. Our goals this year were to achieve structural balance while maintaining a 9% balance in the rainy day fund and a $200 million general fund balance. With the potential budget surplus in mind, we targeted our spending towards one-time expenditures, infrastructure investments, and supporting our state workforce. The committee's spending plan, including the budget before you today, does that by funding the following: $700 million in capital investments through General Fund PAYGO, which allows for more capacity in the capital budget and provides for a total PAYGO spending in excess of $1.6 billion. $240 million targeted to support individuals, businesses, and healthcare sector that continue to be heavily impacted by the pandemic. $105 million to double the rate increases for providers serving our most vulnerable populations, with an additional $40 million to reduce the autism service wait list. And $832 million in employee compensation enhancements to help attract and retain state workers, along with $50 million to establish apprenticeship programs to help actively engage individuals at a younger age and address systemic labor shortages across the state. Most of the spending I've just highlighted is made effective by fencing funds from the rainy day fund appropriation. Our hope is, through negotiations with the governor and the House, we will see this as actual spending in a future supplemental budget. To that effect, our budget plan, Mr. President, assumes $350 million placeholder to provide Marylanders with some form of tax relief that we're still working on. Additionally, in recognition of the $1.6 billion reserve write-up last week and to avoid previous missteps in not properly allocating resources up front for education reform, our plan acknowledges the desire to reflect $800 million in revenues to the Blueprint for Maryland's Future Fund to cover out-year costs of implementing the Blueprint legislation. The committee's actions and reserve assumptions leave the state with a healthy general fund balance of nearly $1.1 billion, while still addressing our priorities and the needs of Marylanders. In line with the spending affordability guidelines, we are also properly guarding against future economic downturn by committing the majority of our new spending to one-time investments and by leaving 10% balance totaling $2.3 billion in the rainy day fund. I look forward to presenting the budget as amended by the committee to you tomorrow. Let me turn now to the materials which have been distributed and are on each member's desk. The report on the Budget and Taxation Committee explains each amendment to the budget. Amendments are numbered in the report and the committee reprint of the bill. The report includes reductions, budget language, and committee narrative listed by state agency. Keep in mind that committee narrative items are not amendments to the bill and are not subject to floor action. However, if you have concerns with narrative items, please bring them to the attention of the committee. The committee reprint of the budget bill reflects the committee's amendments to the budget. Amendments in the budget are numbered and correspond to the explanations in the committee report. Keep in mind that amendments to the budget are to be drawn on the committee report. Staff and the amendment office are available to assist you. The analysis of Maryland's executive budget prepared by the Department of Legislative Services is available to you on your laptops, through your floor system, and to the public on the internet. The analysis describes the significant budgetary changes in each agency and provides an overview of the budget as submitted. We also have provided a document summarizing actions on the budget bill. It illustrates the budget as submitted, describes the actions that we took with respect to the budget and our revenue assumptions, and includes supplemental material with exhibits and charts relative to the budget bill. Finally, I would ask members with amendments to the budget to share them ahead of time to allow the committee to review what effect they may have on the budget and the general fund balance. Actually, just as a footnote on that, this is going to become even more important in future years as question 1 kicks in, and the reality is any action one way or another in the budget is going to need to be reflected. So, of course, we pass a balanced budget, and floor amendments could certainly alter that. Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 290 and the committee amendments lie over under the rules until the appropriate hour tomorrow, Thursday, March 17th.
All right, Senator has moved, the Senator's motion is in order. We thank the chairman of the Budget and Taxation Committee and all members of the committee. This has been such an unbelievably complex budget year for lots of reasons. You know, it's in a good place, but it's also about being fiscally prudent, making smart investments, smart tax competitiveness decisions, and so really appreciate the work that the Budget Committee has done. Senator's very, very important note from the chairman was that if there are questions or issues, please, please, please bring it up to committee staff or to the chair directly as soon as possible. We have a somewhat condensed timeline. We have to kind of move things along by Friday. So please make sure to quickly, so that we can work through. If there are amendments, then those can be worked through and kind of understand the impact as we move along. So it'll be laid over. Our second session tonight, we have to figure out whether or not we're recessing or adjourning. If we do, we'll special order it until tomorrow. So it will not come back up until tomorrow. All right. With that, let's move to let's go to the report from the Committee on Budget and Taxation. This is report number 15. Just one bill here. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 1010, the President, motor fuel taxes, tax-free period, favorable with 2 amendments. This is an emergency bill.
Chair recognizes Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think everybody's aware of this bill. It simply eliminates the motor fuel tax for a 30-day period. There are a number of committee amendments. The first committee amendment adds co-sponsors and makes changes to the purpose paragraph. The second committee amendment speeds up implementation of the bill. The amendment allows a retailer to apply for a credit for taxes paid on motor fuel that is currently in the retailer's gas tanks. This will allow the prices charged by the retailer to immediately reflect the reduced motor fuel taxes. The other provisions of the amendments are technical and requested by the Comptroller's Office to allow for a proper implementation of the bill. Move adoption of the committee report and the amendments.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report on the amendments. Any discussion? Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from the 36th District on the amendments.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If the floor leader would yield for just a couple quick questions.
Appears so. Senator may proceed.
I understand from the industry that there was possibly some difficulty in how this would actually be implemented on their side, being that this tax is paid for when they get delivery of the fuel. Fuel is in place already, and then all of a sudden we're going to have a date certain on when this tax-free period begins. How was that addressed, or can you explain that to people?
I mean, there are a couple aspects to that. The first aspect was addressed by the amendment that I just read, where there able to get essentially a refund on the tax that's been paid on the gas that exists in their tank. And by doing that, it allows them to move forward more quickly with providing the relief to our constituents.
Okay, so I guess my concern is, does that put everybody kind of in the same position to start this? What we don't want to see is some retailers are able to start this right away, and others, because of the fuel that they already have on site, can't start it.
That's exactly what it does.
That does that. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, any further questions on the amendments? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments? Chair recognizes the senator from District 4.
I have an amendment.
Senator has an amendment. Pages will collect and distribute the senator's amendment.
Would you like me to read the number?
We're okay, I think.
Okay.
Just give us one moment. All right, Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I mean, it's nice to do this 30-day gas tax holiday. It's a nice gesture here, but the problem I have with our policy in that what we're doing is at the end of this, in July, just as in every year since 2013 when we enacted it, there'll be an automatic increase in the gas tax. So here we are telling Maryland consumers, hey, we're doing something great for you. We're giving you a break on the gas tax for 30 days. Then in July, we're going to come in and raise the gas tax. And most people probably don't even know about this provision because, quite frankly, gas prices, since this went into law, have been very low. Inflation has been very low. And what the General Assembly did in 2013 was very unfortunately decided not only they raised the gas tax, but that it would be automatically raised every year with the rate of inflation. So here we are heading to a time where gas is at an all-time high, and inflation is at the highest it's been in my lifetime. We're going to hit near 8%, which is the cap in the law, so that Marylanders are going to get an 8% increase in the gas tax. So I think this is prudent. This is not a tax cut. This is not taking money away. This is just stopping a tax increase. And this will actually permanently stop the automatic gas tax increase. And if the General Assembly deems it appropriate to raise taxes, what we should do is actually have a vote on it, have a vote on the board. But have an automatic gas tax increase is a bad idea. And it's especially a bad idea because it was setting up for one day like this when we'd have record gas tax or record gas prices and record inflation. That's a terrible combination when it comes to an automatic gas tax, which is tied to CPI. So for these reasons, I would ask the body to adopt this. And I would say, if we really want to help consumers, let's not give them a 30-day holiday and then raise their gas tax. Let's do this. Let's get rid of the automatic gas tax increase. Thank you.
Let's hear from the floor leader. Chair recognizes the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank the Senator for providing me the amendment ahead of time. Let me try to, I think, a very technical correction to maybe something that said it could be flat. It's not necessarily an automatic increase, but it does relate to the CPI, and he's accurate, and most times the CPI does increase the amount. I think what is important to recognize, and I'm going to ask that we reject this amendment, is that we are going to be struggling over the next couple of years to figure out exactly how we're going to fund our transportation projects. And we're going to be doing, I believe, an extensive look at all the methods of funding that we're going to have to consider. Our gas tax obviously is diminishing, which means that we're going to have to come up with some alternative. Don't know what it is. We've been talking about it for the last couple of years, but at this particular point in time, I would ask you to resist this because we don't have the solutions for the future yet, but we will. I'm confident that we'll figure it out, but unfortunately, this isn't exactly the moment for it.
All right. On the amendment, Chair recognizes the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. And the Chair of Budget and Tax is someone who I have great respect for, and we work with in a bipartisan way on a lot of things. And so I appreciate his explanation. I don't agree with the decision to reject the amendment and not accept it as a friendly one. Let me just speak to this for a moment. This is really an openness of government issue. We never, ever, I didn't vote for it, but we never should have put an automatic gas tax increase that went in perpetuity. No increase in what we take from taxpayers should happen automatically with no check. You know, something that goes for 3 or 4 years, maybe. But for it to continue in perpetuity, and my understanding, I don't believe it can't go down. So it's gone up pretty much every year and will continue to, and taxpayers are in for a real shock when it continues to add to the rising price of gas. People are really hurting right now. And there's been a number of proposals put forth here in the General Assembly by the governor that deal with helping people on the lower end of the economic scale, which I have no real issue with. Utilizing the surplus in a targeted way to provide relief is great. But we need to remember also that there's a middle class that's really crunched. You know, some mornings I like to go out and wave at traffic early in the morning in my district. I find it to be fun. Some people think I'm crazy. But somebody the other day saw me post something about it on social media and said, well, I guess there will be less cars the next time you go out and wave. No, there aren't any less cars. You know why? Because the people that are out at 7 o'clock in the morning driving in my community are driving work trucks. They're going back and forth, not just commuting to a job, but they're traveling all around to go help service people's HVACs and service plumbing and take kids back and forth to school on buses. The gas tax really falls heavily on the working class people who make our state run day to day. And I think the least that we can do, this bill, I support the bill as it is, but the next thing that we can do, the least we could do would be to say we're going to end the practice of automatically raising gas taxes, really almost in secret, basically. There's no press release that goes out that the gas tax is going up every year. We should end that practice because people elect us to make tough decisions. We should have to vote to raise a gas tax when it's needed for funding. So I think if we're talking about having a change in policy in the future to figure out how we can fund our transportation, I think it'd be a good idea to end the automatic increases and make that part of the discussion. So, Mr. President, I support the amendment and encourage the body to do so as well.
All right, on the amendment, any further discussion? Chair, any senators who have not yet spoken wish to speak? If not, Chair, can I have the senator from District 4?
Yeah, and just one brief point, too. DLS says on this that it's going to be a $37 million gas tax increase. So if we don't do anything, it's going to be a $37 million gas tax increase on our constituents. And in 2027, it goes all the way up to, DLS estimates this will cost taxpayers $117 million. So this is real money we're talking about. And I quite frankly think these are probably conservative because they're probably looking at what inflation has been historically the last couple of years, which is very low, whereas where we're at now. So I'd ask for a roll call vote on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, any further discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? Chair in explaining his vote. This is a really important issue, a very, very, very important issue. The chairman laid it out very well. Our transportation infrastructure is going to be incredibly challenged in the years ahead for many, many reasons. As we electrify, there is less gas consumed, which means the single largest input of revenue into the Transportation Trust Fund is in a declining way. We don't know what that answer will be for our roads, for our bridges, for our highways, for our transit systems, for our port, for our airport. This is what funds the infrastructure of our economy. Second point is that the difference with the gas tax is it's an excise tax. With the income tax, it's a percentage base. So when inflation goes up, more comes in for the cost of goods and services. For an excise tax, it's a flat tax. The reason the CPI was added in 2013 is because in 2013, we were in a place where we hadn't touched the gas tax for 20 years, and we were not able to make a single new investment in a new project. Not a single new. That was when Maryland was falling behind. With the resources, we can invest in our economy, and that's why having the resources to match inflation makes sense. It's why I will be voting against this amendment. Any further senators wish to explain?
If I could just explain.
Chair recognizes the minority leader.
Yeah, I won't take much time. I think one of the key things with this is we're not saying you can't raise taxes. It's just saying that it should have a public vote. If you don't support this, it just goes automatic. And people want to know what our opinions are. So it's not saying you can't raise it in the future. It just says we should have the public debate. People should come in, be able to testify on it, and then we can take a vote.
All right. With that, if there are no further explanations, clerk will take the call. With 26 votes in the negative, the senator's amendment fails. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 1010 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, let's go to the Committee on Finance. We have calendar number 11. It's a heavy one. Clerk, read the first bill.
Senate Bill 275, Senator Hayes, Labor and Employment, Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program, Establishment, Time to Care Act of 2022, favorable with 6 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee as floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a lengthy, it's a big bill, important bill, lengthy floor report, so if the body will indulge me. Senate Bill 275 establishes the Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program and Fund to provide up to 12 weeks of benefits to a covered individual taking leave from employment due to personal and family circumstances, primarily related to serious illness or following the birth or adoption of a child. The fund consists of an employer and employee contribution and pays for benefits, generally wage replacement, and ultimately some administrative costs. The program will be located in the Maryland Department of Labor. Much of the administration of the program will be through regulations, including certifying claims for benefits as directed by the bill. The weekly benefit, based on an individual's average weekly wage, ranges from $50 to a $1,000 cap that is indexed to inflation. To be eligible for the benefits, a covered individual who's taking leave from employment may submit a claim for benefits to take care for a new child during the first year after birth, adoption, or placement, care for a family member with a serious health condition, attend to the individual's serious health condition, care for a next of kin service member, or attend a qualifying exigency because of a deployment or other military-related activities. Leave taken under the bill must run concurrently with leave taken under the family FMLA at the federal level, and employees may have their own plan. Employers may have their own plan, but it must be at least as generous as the program established under this bill. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 clarifies definitions, defines deployment, preempts local governments from establishing a similar program, specifies that a single employee may participate in the program, moves the date for contributions to the fund to begin on October of 2023, and for the benefit payments to begin on January 1st, 2025. Conforms other dates because of the proceeding, alters and adds employer notification requirements, and authorizes the Board of Public Works to suspend an increase of the maximum benefit payment because of economic conditions. Amendment number 3 is clarifying changes the employer-employee contribution from 50-50 as introduced to a 25-75 split, 25% from the employer, 75% from the employee, respectively, and allows employers to pay a greater share of the contribution. Amendment number 4 conforms certification for benefit requirements for intermittent leave to FMLA, adds additional regulatory requirements for benefit certification, including denying benefits to an employer hardship, authorizes employers to require 30 days notice from employees before taking leave under specified circumstances, limits increments of intermittent leave to not less than 4 hours, limits the total amount of leave to 12 weeks, exempts developmentally disabled employers who self-direct their care from holding a position open, and specifies the provisions pertaining to maintaining health benefits conform with federal law under the FMLA. Amendment number 5 is clarifying strikes a private right of action and adds enforcement provisions that are conform to what we already have in place under the Healthy Working Families Act that we passed a few years ago. Amendment number 6 requires a study about the relationship between leave under this bill and unemployment insurance, requires an actuarial study on the fund's potential solvency prior to the program's implementation, states has legislative intent language about covering low-wage employee contribution, and delays the implementation of the program until January 1st, 2023. Mr. President, there's a lot there. I know that several folks have already indicated that they were intending to lay the bill and the committee amendments over under the rules. So maybe to preempt that, I would suggest that that's what we do. I'm not sure about our second session or tomorrow. I'll sort of defer to you on that, but I'd move that we lay the bill and the committee amendments over under the rule.
All right, the senator has moved for the adoption of the 6 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. Question is on the amendments. Senator has then moved to lay the bill over under the rule. That motion is in order, so we will lay the bill and the amendments over under the rule. We will probably take it up again later. I think we'll adjourn. So we'll probably, it'll come back up tomorrow or tonight for discussion, and then we'll do, I imagine there may be some requests for amendments, and so we'll be sure to have time for tomorrow so that if there are any further amendments. Chair, recognize the minority leader.
Yeah, if I could just ask, I know in our committee, sometimes when we have big bills, our staff will have like not talking points, like a summary of it at a very high level. I don't know if your committee had anything like that we could review. I know it's a large bill. It would be helpful for us who didn't sit on the committee.
I do not have such a document now. I suppose I could, back at the committee, I'll have to get back to you on that. I do not have such a document at the present time.
All right. We'll see what we can figure out, make sure that we have some plain language reading. All right. Let's see. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 323, Senator Augustine, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, prior authorization for drug products to treat an opioid use disorder prohibition, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsors. The floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 323, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, prior authorization for drug products to treat an opioid use disorder. In 2017, the General Assembly passed legislation to prohibit prior authorization for these opioid use disorder medications in commercial insurance plans. And what this is looking to do, as originally introduced, was to do the same thing for Marylanders who are on Medicaid. As amended, Senate Bill 323 requires the Maryland Department of Health to adopt a reporting system to monitor the prescribing of medications to treat opioid use disorders in the state, including which medications are being prescribed. Analyzes patterns of prescribing medications in the state to identify prescribers who regularly prescribe certain non-preferred medications, conduct outreach to individuals in the state using educational materials regarding the benefits of prescribing preferred medications, and identify barriers to individuals who need medication to treat an opioid use disorder to obtaining the medication in a timely manner. The Maryland Department of Health must submit an initial analysis by October 1st, 2022, and report on subsequent findings and recommendations beginning October 1st, 2023, and annually thereafter. Amendment 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 strikes the bill as introduced, affects the bill as described, and moves the effective date to July 1st, 2022. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 323 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 770, Senator Ferguson, Public Utilities Homeowner Utility Repair Fund establishment, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, sponsor of the bill. As amended, Senate Bill 770 establishes a homeowner utility repair program and fund within the Department of Housing and Community Development. The purpose of the program is to reimburse or provide grants to eligible customers whose household income does not exceed 120% of the state median income to offset costs associated with the repair of damage inside a residential structure caused by a required upgrade, repair, or maintenance action conducted by a utility company for which the utility company does not make the repair or reimburse the customer. The maximum reimbursement or grant under this program is $1,000. If a grant is provided, it must be based on an estimate provided by a licensed contractor, and any unspent funds must be returned to the department. Beginning in fiscal year 2024, the governor must provide an annual appropriation of $500,000. Amendment number 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 establishes the repair program and requires the department, rather than the Public Service Commission, it requires DHCD rather than the PSC to administer the program. Establishes the maximum reimbursement or grant under the program as well as other program requirements. It strikes language authorizing the transfer of certain unspent funds from other programs, requires DHCD to adopt regulations, and establishes the mandated appropriation I referenced earlier. There was no opposition to the committee hearing. Bill passed unanimously. Move the amendments, adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th District.
Can I just ask the floor leader, just trying to understand this bill real quick?
Sure.
So here's what I took out of what your explanation, and thank you for that, but it was $1,000 for utility company damage. $1,000 isn't very much. What's the utility company damage we're talking about here? Just want to understand what we're doing with this.
Let me get a little guidance again. There, since there was no opposition to the hearing, let me just get a
I just
little
want to understand the
guidance
bill,
from
that's all.
council. Yeah.
Is there like a specific target we're going after with this thing, or there is a connection?
I would yield to the sponsor,
I know,
but it may be inappropriate.
Stuck.
It's his bill, but.
For the purposes of inquiry, the issue is the required upgrades from gas or electric hookups when they may be out of code.
Okay.
So it is, these are required under the utility, but it is not. Does the senator
guess
from the 36?
The phrase that confused me was damage caused by, and I didn't think of a hookup as, but anyway, maybe the sponsor.
I think there's a process where the utility lines are getting upgraded underneath. As they go to each house, there's a connection point that takes place. That connection is not the utility's responsibility, but the homeowner's responsibility. And this bill is providing the funding to allow the homeowners. So
$1,000's reasonable, and it's not really, it's the hookup. Thank you. I'm good. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, the question is on the 2 committee amendments. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the favorable committee report as amended. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 770 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reader. By the way, as these upgrades happen, there's a story coming soon to you. I've learned it very quickly this past summer, the challenges. All right, clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 825, Senator Kramer, Consumer Credit, Commercial Financing Transactions, favorable with 5 amendments.
Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, a number of years ago, we in this chamber and in the House passed legislation to prohibit payday loans to consumers. And the reason we did that is that the practices were so abusive that the decision was made this was an industry that we did not want to permit to flourish in Maryland. The bill before you addresses payday loans in the commercial lending world. Over the past decade and a half, particularly because of the internet, like so many things, an entire industry has been built up that is making commercial loans to our small mom and pop businesses, our small business owners, and that's what this bill is targeted specifically to, our small mom and pop businesses, because they have been taken advantage of, they have been preyed upon, the industry has been so egregious that the Federal Reserve opined that the states need to start addressing it. Bloomberg, the Washington Post, and Forbes all have done extensive reporting on this Wild West industry that is abusing our small mom and pop businesses and very often putting them out of business and seizing their assets without even having to go into the courts to do so. So the bill before you will for the first time begin to establish a regulatory framework here in Maryland for commercial financing transactions, including certain open-end, closed-end, and sales-based financing transactions, as well as factoring and renewal financing transactions. More specifically, the bill establishes disclosure requirements on providers of commercial financing, including required information on fees and finance charges, something that is not happening now. The annual percentage rate, for which there are required methods for calculating and repayment terms, because right now, some in this industry are charging routinely 100, 200, 300, and 400% interest on our small business owners. The Office of Commissioner of Financial Regulation must adopt regulations to implement the bill. These regulations must be substantially the same as regulations adopted in New York regarding commercial financing. And the reason for that, colleagues, is that the industry came in and complained that they did not want a patchwork of different regulations out there. So this bill adopts verbatim what New York is going to be doing, as well as California, the two big players in the country. And so we will follow that language so the industry does not have a patchwork of regulations. Amendment 1 makes changes to the title of the bill. Amendments 2 and 3 alter and add exemptions from the bill for certain entities and transactions. Amendment 4 strikes provisions that would make a violation of the bill an unfair, deceptive, or abusive trade practice under the Consumer Protection Act. And it also strikes a provision that would allow a provider of a commercial financing to rely on a statement of intended purpose made by a recipient. Amendment 5 requires the Commissioner of Financial Regulation to approve the use of commercial financing disclosure forms approved for use in other states. So again, there's compatibility with what we're doing. Mr. President, I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader has moved for the adoption of the 5 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Chair recognizes the senator from District 4 on the amendments.
Thank you. Just a question for the floor leader.
Will the floor leader yield? Appears so. Senator may proceed.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to read through the Attorney General's letter here. It looks like they came in opposition. Do these amendments address their opposition?
Specifically, yes. They had 2 specific concerns. The amendments address both of those concerns, so the opposition from the Attorney General's office is gone.
Okay. If it's all right, this is kind of a big bill, and I'm trying to look through it. I just ask that we lay it over under the rules.
The senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendments will be laid over under the rules. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 826, Senator Klossmeyer, Economic Development, Maryland Watermen's Microloan Program, Establishment, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. Senate Bill 826 establishes the Maryland Watermen's Microloan Program within the Maryland Agriculture and Resource-Based Industry Development Corporation, also known as MARBITCO. The purpose of the program is to provide loans to qualified commercial fishermen to continue commercial operations in the state, including for the purchasing of boats, mechanical equipment, fishing gear, fishing quota, and any other item used in commercial seafood harvesting. For fiscal 2024 and 2025, the governor must include the annual state budget bill and appropriation of $750,000 to the program. Amendment number 1 adds sponsors. There was no opposition at the committee hearing, and I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, further to move to the adoption of the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. Any discussion on the amendment? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 826 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Could we ring the bells quickly? So we were trying to figure out the calendar here. We are gonna recess today at noon in order to. We just have too many reports to adjourn. So we're going to recess. Our plan is to come back at 5 today. 5. We initially thought 6, but I think we're going to do 5 o'clock. We just have a lot to get through. So we're going to do third readers now because there are some folks who have some other obligations this evening that have to, or later this afternoon, that have to come in and out. So if we can get the third readers done today, we can at least clear the decks as much as we can. So let's do a quorum call before third reading calendar.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 44 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. We'll start with third reading calendar number 35. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 124, Senator Heddleman, Public Schools Grant Program to Reduce and Compost School Waste.
Senate Bill 124 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk, chair recognizes the senator from the 27th district. No? All right, then the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 124, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 166, Senator Ellis, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, doula services coverage.
Senate Bill 166 is on third reader for final passage. Chair recognizes the majority leader.
Yes, Mr. President, I would move to Special Order 166.
Yes, right. Are there any objections to the Senator's special order to the appropriate time tomorrow?
Perfect.
Without objection, so ordered. The bill will be special order to the appropriate time tomorrow. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 241, Senator Augustine, Behavioral Health Crisis Response Services 988 Trust Fund.
All right, Senate Bill 241 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 241, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 334, Senator Feldman, Long-Term Power Purchase Agreements for Renewable Energy Work Group and Minority-Owned and Women-Owned Businesses Study.
Senate Bill 334 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 334, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 496, Senator Bidel, Business Regulation, Miscellaneous State Business Licenses Alterations.
Senate Bill 496 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 496, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 540, Senator Elfreth, Higher Education Transfer Platform Established, Transfer with Success Act 2.0.
Senate Bill 540 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 540, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 589, Senator Hayes, University of Maryland, Baltimore campus employees, authorization to fundraise.
Senate Bill 589 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 589, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 591, Senator Augustine, Maryland Health Care Commission, Patient Safety Center, designation and fund.
Senate Bill 591 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 591, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 607, Senator Hayes, Health Equity Resource Communities, modifications.
Senate Bill 607 is on third reading, final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 607, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 645, Senator Carozza, Wycomico County Alcoholic Beverages Dinner Theater License.
Senate Bill 645 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 645, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, we've got one more third reading calendar. This is number 36. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 649, Senator Young, Frederick County Disposition of Marriage Ceremony Fee.
Senate Bill 649 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 649, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 697, Senator Bidle, Vehicle Laws, Mechanical Repair Contracts, Policies of Insurance.
Senate Bill 697 is on third reading, final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 697, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 703, Frederick County Senators, Frederick County Motor Vehicle Registration, Exception for Golf Carts.
Senate Bill 703 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 703, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 717, Senator Simon Eyre, Public Schools, Virtual Education Days, Authorization.
Senate Bill 717 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will... the chair recognizes the senator from the 29th District to explain his vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just take a minute. As you see, I vote red on this. And as a dad, and every time it snows and the kids turn their pajamas inside out and they pray for a snow day, I could not vote green on this and go home and talk to them tonight. So for the hope of snow days, I'll be red.
All right. Chair recognizes the bill sponsor has 2 minutes to explain his vote.
Yeah, explaining my vote, this is already done at the state level. 16 counties do this already. What this bill is doing is giving the locals the control of it, so that's why I'm supporting it.
All right, thank you, Senator. Any further senators wish to explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 42 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 717, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 746, Frederick County Senators, Frederick County Sheriff Salary.
Senate Bill 746 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 41 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 746, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 788, Senator Feldman, Cannabis Regulation, Medical Cannabis Definition and Study. This is an emergency bill.
788 is on third reading for final passage. Senators, this is an emergency bill. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 788, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 802, Senator Gazzoni, Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports, Membership and Coordinated Community Supports Partnership Fund Revisions.
All right, Senate Bill 802 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, to explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 44 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 802, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 819, Senator Heddleman, Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth and Victim Services, Executive Director Appointment.
Senate Bill 819 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 819, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 841, Senator Ferguson, Morgan State University, Carnegie Classification Doctoral University with very high research activity.
Senate Bill 841 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 841, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 861, Senator Bidle, Public Safety, Firearm Crimes Enforcement Center, Offenses and Procedures.
Senate Bill 861 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 861, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. What time? All right, let's go ahead and call it there. Let's call it there. We'll get through those. Give folks time to get to committee. We're going to come back at 5. Let's do committee announcements. Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance Committee.
Finance will meet at 12:45. 12:45 for, oh, that isn't going to work. We'll meet at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
At 1?
At 1 o'clock. Okay.
1 o'clock for bill hearings. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair recognizes the Chair of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. EHU will also meet at 1 o'clock. We have 7 bills for hearings, followed by a voting session. I believe we have 9 bills. We'll start them, and then we'll just put a hold on it, put a stop on it at 5:05, and if we have some left, we'll come back afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Budget and Taxation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Budget and Tax will have hearings at 1. At some point, pensions during that, we'll have to do some work, and then possibly some voting also.
All right. Busy days. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair recognizes the Chair of Judicial Proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judicial Proceedings Committee will meet today at 1 for bill hearings. Today is sponsor only, and so we'll follow that with voting until we come back to the floor.
All right. 1 o'clock, sponsor only. Other standing committees. Select committees. Chair recognizes the Chair of the Baltimore County Delegation. Nope. Let's do announcements really quickly first. Are any other committee announcements before? All right. Chair recognizes the Senator from Baltimore County. What purpose does the Senator rise?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to file a bill. I know it's going into rules. And the name of the bill is Health Occupations Nurse Anesthetist Drug Authority.
All right. So, Senators, this is a motion to suspend Rule 32.
Yes. Thank you.
For the purposes of a late filed introduction of a bill. Very rarely do we do it, but are there any objections? Without objection, the rules having been suspended, the clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 1011, Health Occupations Nurse Anesthetist Drug Authority. Annapolis Drug Authority.
All right. The bill will be referred to the Standing Committee on Rules. All right. Let's see. Today, a reminder, today the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra is in the Miller Atrium. It appears that I am apparently conducting for 1 minute. That's going to be a disaster. So we'll see how that is. But 12 o'clock or 12:15, they start 12:15 to 12:45. 12:15 to 12:45. So it'll be in the atrium, so folks can be on any level looking down on the atrium. They'll be in the center. It should be pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right. Any further announcements before we recess? Yes, Chair recognizes Senator from District 7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it's been 2 years since we've had the Polar Bear Plunge. It's back. Next Friday, starting at 2:30 to 4:30, will be the legislative Polar Bear Plunge. 2 years ago, our colleague, former colleague, Senator Peters, sitting over there, who always pushed this, challenged me. Reluctantly, I stepped up and I did it. Did it with my colleague from District 37. So I'm asking each and every one of you to think about it. It's a great cause. We get together as a group. We go in. I will tell you, I just checked the Chesapeake Bay water temperature. It is a balmy 41.5 degrees.
Yes, yes.
Woo, baby.
Senator-
So I'll make an announcement next week. But again, Polar Bear Plunge, it's for a great cause. It's our constituents. We have a lot of fun, and it'd be good to see some of us out there. So thank you, Mr. President.
Senator, I will be plunging with you this year. I will be plunging
Whoa.
with you. Yes, yes. That is the.
All right.
That's the word.
Challenge accepted.
That's it. That's it. All right. Yes, Chair recognizes the Senator from Montgomery County, Chair of the Montgomery County delegation.
No, just an introduction, Mr.
Senator,
President.
may proceed.
I believe, and they were here in a very large number today, but I believe there are a number of our guests from Leadership Montgomery in the gallery behind the chamber. So I just wanted to say thank you and welcome to them. And I hope they have a great day here in Annapolis and enjoy your visit. And we had a great meeting with the Montgomery County Senate delegation with them early today. Good to see you all.
Excellent. Welcome, Leadership Montgomery. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed our lovely session here, the first one of the day. Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you. Not just a proud graduate of the Leadership Montgomery class of 2002, but also I wanted to introduce my shadow today, my longtime friend, Joe Vogel, who is a candidate for the House of Delegates, and I hope will be joining us next year as the new delegate from District 17. Please welcome Joe.
All right. Welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining us today. Certainly, there is no campaigning on the Senate floor, so we welcome Joe for being here as an individual. All right. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? If not, let's do a quorum call before we recess.
Mr. President.
All right. Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 45 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I've had several inquiries about whether the chambers would be locked.
Thank you for that reminder. Yes, they will be. The Sergeant at Arms will be securing the chamber. So if folks want to leave stuff here, feel free.
Thank you. I move the Senate of Maryland stand in recess until 5 p.m. today.
5 p.m. today. Without objection, stay safe, have fun, enjoy the BSO. See you at 5.